It is May 1st.
Good morning. Welcome to the Going Executive Director Show. Our purpose is to share with you the skills, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and daily activities needed for you to build a solid, profitable business. Remember, this is our team's philosophy. This is not the MLM Leadership Show. That is going to be next. And this is for team members who are working with us in our company. So this is the specifics on how to build this company to executive director. Good morning. All right. So I'm going to hand this over to Jeff to start.
Hello, guys. What we're covering today, and Shamala, I just got your message. So some days I just don't have time to send out all the invites, but we start every day. And what we're going to do this month is we're going over the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. If you're unfamiliar with this book or this person, let me give you kind of a quick rundown. John Maxwell actually is known as the industry's expert in leadership. Not only is he the founder of the Enjoy Corporation and 7 other companies, he's written, it seems like a million books, but it's like 100 books to date, 3 of which have gone on to be multi-million-dollar sellers. He's the #1 speaker and trainer in this field of leadership, and it's one of the things, if you want to grow your business to the next level, this is stuff you absolutely positively need to know, no matter what company you're in. This show specifically is about the company Brandy and I are physically working in. Legal Shield, if you're unfamiliar with it, instant message us, regardless if you want to join or buy anything. I like for people to know what it is and what we do. So that way, if you do run into a person who needs it, you can refer us. We appreciate that. But what we're going to do is go into the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. The very first chapter is #1 is character. If you're unfamiliar with this, it says leadership is the capacity and will to rally men and women to a common purpose, and the character which inspires the confidence. It says never, for the sake of peace and quiet, deny your own experience or convictions. So what is character all about? Character basically sits down and you do the things you say you're going to do. If you become a person who does the things that you say you're going to do, and you follow through, then what happens is you're able to gain a level of respect. Now, if you've never heard this before, people do business with people they know, people they like, and people they trust. Knowing people is just, of them. You can, sometimes you can know of them. And sometimes their reputation carries more weight than their conversation. Why does their reputation carry more weight than the conversation? Because if somebody says, watch out for that person that you personally respect, you're probably going to listen to them with a certain level of, hesitation. So I'm trying to get out some invites because I'm getting a bunch of people are asking me to do this. So Brandy, every day I'm going to need you to jump on and physically do this, because if we don't, we're going to get all kinds of questions.
Okay.
Do you want to take over here for a second? I'm going to send out some invites, guys.
So, did you want me to just move on to the next one?
No. So character. So just a couple things about character real quick. It says character is more than just talk. It's more than just saying what to do. It's actually physically doing what you say you're going to do. When people don't question you, and if somebody says, hey, this is going to happen, then it's going to happen. And it, you can pretty much write it in stone. Second thing is, it says talent is a gift, but character is a choice. So certain people are talented in certain areas. Certain people are great with the gift of gab. I can talk to anybody. Well, you might be able to talk to anybody, but nobody trusts you. And if nobody trusts you, what you say, it really isn't worth anything. So therefore, you have a hard time with people, not because you can't do things when you want to, but you're inconsistent with when you want to do things. Therefore, people don't trust exactly what's going on. So this deals with character. This character brings lasting success with people. So, character can run a long way. Your reputation from other people will then listen with hesitation. In some cases, Dave, what's up? In some cases, your reputation precedes you, where people pick up the phone and they're like, they're going to listen to everything with kind of a blinder or a shield up. The same thing can be true with somebody who has character and somebody who has respect with somebody. They're able to pick up the phone and do something completely different, where they're able to pick up the phone and people are like, whatever this person says, because my friends already told me that anything they do is gold and anything they do gets done, I'm going to join, I'm going to follow, it's going to happen. It says leaders cannot rise above the limitations of their character. So no matter what position you have or how much money you've made or what kind of cool shit you know how to do, it doesn't matter if you don't have the character behind it. So you have to be able to do what you say you're going to do. Follow up with the phone calls you say you're going to follow up with, show up on time when you say you're going to show up, which I have a problem with. But working on. So this is, part of what it takes. It says, bringing it home, it says, search for the cracks. It says, spend some time looking for the major areas of life, whether it be work, marriage, family, service to others, and identify where you might have cut corners in the past. If you've cut corners in this area, this stops you right away. Like, it's very hard to move forward, move on, if this stuff is missing. If character is missing, people don't care how good of a salesperson you are. What ends up happening is you have to go through more people, and you have a harder time keeping the people you do have. So if you're losing people faster than you're gaining them, and you can't hold any retention into what you're doing, it's usually a character issue in a lot of cases. Just look for patterns. Examine the responses that you get from others. If a common theme is, I just don't trust you, you need to start looking at that, because that is an issue. And this was a huge issue for me growing up. My mom, God love her, was a person who would say, hey, let's go do this, and then not follow through and do it. So eventually I just got to the point where I never listened. I was just like, this is worthless to, even hear what she says she's going to do, because 50% of the time she doesn't follow through and do it anyway. Even if she asks you, hey, do you want to go do this? It really didn't mean anything to me because she didn't follow through. Therefore, because I grew up in that environment, what do you think I ended up doing? I ended up doing the exact same thing. And it was really hard to get to a point to force myself to do this because I grew up in an area where that wasn't something that was important, and she followed through, so I didn't follow through. Still a common theme. Face the music. It says the beginning of character repair. I do a lot of credit repair. Character repair comes when you face your flaws, apologize, and then deal with the consequences of your actions. So when you finally come out and be like, look, I was an idiot. I didn't even realize how important this stuff was. It's just not something that I grew up, was taught. I didn't understand it. But now I try to force myself to do the stuff that I say I'm going to do. Even though a lot of times I don't like doing it, even though I don't feel like doing it, even though I don't want to do it, I force myself in a lot of cases to do it and make sure it gets done, because I realized how important this was. I never realized really how important it was until I started building a network marketing business, until I started building to the point where it wasn't just me and 5 people, where it was 50 to 100 people. And I started learning about personalities, and certain personalities hold this particular one much higher than others. Certain people look at it and be like, as long as they can get something done, I'm cool. Other people are like, I'm going to find out what their character's like before I do anything. Well, if that's the case and you are flawed in that area right away, they see it several times, they don't ever engage. They don't ever get started. They don't ever follow you. They don't ever jump in. Rebuild. That's the last one. How do you rebuild? It says the one thing to face up to your actions is another thing to rebuild from a future. Now that you've identified the weakness in the area, create a plan that will basically prevent you from making this in the future. And you have to ask the other person, hey, I screwed up. What do I have to do to fix this with you? Not, here's what I'm going to do, because here's what I'm going to do is all based on what you think, which means you're a selfish bastard. And in most cases, most people are. But when I ask, what do I need to do for you to make this up? Now it's really putting it on them to tell you what it's going to take to rebuild. And watch this. Everybody's different. Some people are like, sorry was enough. Let's move forward. Some people are like, it's going to take 10 years. And I have friends that are like that. Like, if you burn them once, it takes 10 years. Some people are never again, well, I trust you, period. There is no way to build back. Wouldn't it be good to know that, so you stop wasting your time with that person? There's nothing you can do anyway. You just move forward. So this is like not only clear communication, clear connection, but really it's getting clear in what has to happen to move forward. So how does this relate to network marketing? How does character relate to network marketing and everything else you do? What I've seen is if you have this flawed character, people can come in who are the greatest salespeople, and they might sell, cars, or they might sell Nintendo games, they might sell coffee, they might sell all kinds of other stuff, and they're great at sales. But if your character's messed up, what happens is you can sell, but you can't recruit and you can't retain. Because people will buy from you because you have the skill of convincing them temporarily, but people won't join you because they're like, I don't want my name attached with this person. And that's a really rough thing to understand. Aziz, how are you? So this is something to understand and watch and really, really pay attention to. Because if you miss this overall, everything else crumbles upon this one lesson, which is character. So we're going to be going over the 21 laws or the 21 qualities, not the 21 laws, the 21 qualities. Brandy said that earlier, and I did the same thing. The 21 qualities of a leader. If you don't have this book, this is what we're going over this month. And the qualities behind what you need if you want to go executive director, if you want to go platinum, if you want to build to $100,000, if you want to build to $1 million, this is the foundation to make it all work. And here's the thing, you could have screwed up everything up until this point, and you can learn what's in this book and the qualities you need to develop and straighten some of this crap out. Watch this. When you straighten this stuff out, everything gets better. I'm talking about everything. Every step you make, every relationship you have, every person you run into, every meal you eat seems to taste better, and I'm not kidding, when you straighten some of the stuff out that we're going to talk about in this particular setting. Brandy, I'm going to turn this over to you. When it comes to character, can you think of anybody or mention anybody, growing up that character-wise you had a problem with?
Character-wise that I've had a problem with. Actually, it was one of my bosses. She would 1 minute be really cool, and the next minute she would be, this woman, I was actually scared to ask for a weekend off. I actually worked every single weekend with her since I started all throughout high school, and I was actually scared to even ask for a weekend off. I worked every single weekend in high school without actually going out with my friends because I was scared to even ask her for anything. And she would tell me just really nice things. She's like, oh, you're such a good worker, you're this, you're that. But then behind my back, I ended up finding out she was saying I was stupid. This girl's not gonna go anywhere. God, she's such a pain in my ass. And then so it was really hard after that once I found that out, and this was from people I respected. They're like, Brandy, she really doesn't like you. And I was like, what? I was like, well, that kind of hurts because I thought I was doing a really good job. So then anything I heard from her after that was, is that really true, or are you just saying that to try to butter me up? So that would probably be the one time where there was a character issue. So that's just for instance, and that was just in the workplace. But even to this day, she never really apologized for it, and she would actually take out a lot of frustrations out on me. So to this day, I actually keep a distance from her, and I'm just like, no. So with that, now, if she ever came and apologized to me, I'm the type of person where I would just forgive them, be like, look, the fact that you recognized it and came to me and apologized to me, even though this was years ago, I'm the type of person, if you just come up and apologize to me, I will forgive. So, that would be.
Okay, so guys, that's just an example. I mean, all of us probably have those examples of people in our lives that character is flawed. But I'm just going to run through this. If you're building a business, especially inside of direct sales or network marketing, this is the reason why you see some people who can sell, and anybody who claims that they're a great salesperson to me right away. Oh my gosh, I can sell anything. I can just sell, but you can't fucking recruit. The reason usually is because of character. There's something messed up. There's some disconnect. People know you can convince, but it's temporary because you can't follow through with anything else you do, which is usually an issue long term if you want to build a business. Now, let me show you kind of how this relates to contacting. So if I'm going to contact somebody, I'm going to like, hey, I need you to take a look at what I'm doing. People don't want to take a look at what you're doing. Why don't they want to take a look at what you're doing? Because if your character's flawed and they know you don't do stuff, you don't follow through, you don't commit, you're not long term, then all of a sudden people are like, yeah, I don't have time for that. So if you're having a hard time getting in front of people, sometimes this is the issue. Now, if you don't know them at all, that's a whole nother issue. You know, if there's no relationship built there, they've never met you, there's no connection. What's great is if you have this issue, you can run leads and you can build a whole new group of people through leads. That's what I had to do a long time ago when this was all messed up with my friends and the people. I damaged all the relationships around me. So I'm like, look, the people around me, that's not who I can start with. I'm going to have to do leads because like I don't have that relationship and or that know, like, and trust built with the people around me. Think about setting an appointment. You set an appointment with somebody. You try to set an appointment with somebody to say, hey, I want to sit down and show you what I've been working on. But in the past, you haven't shown up to the appointments that you set anyway, or you come an hour late. That becomes an issue, you know, because then people are like, yeah, it's not even worth getting together with this person. Next, you go to present to a person. Let's say you can get in front of somebody because they're already locked down to a position. You happen to find them at work, and then you present to them, and they listen only with half an ear because if you start out by saying, this is what I'm doing, they're already questioning your commitment because in the past, your character says you're going to do one thing and you do another. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to do this. Yeah. Now, some people are just pessimistic and negative. You have to discern the difference between those people. But I'm talking about just people in general who aren't super pessimistic. You know, you try to use third party. Now, this is where you can overcome a lot of this. Is if you use third party, you're like, hey, I've got this friend that's just locked into doing. It still is going to be harder for you if you have a character issue, but this is where you can break through, is you're like, look, if you point out what you're not good at, you're like, look, I know I have issues showing up on time and following through on, you know, I have ADHD and I have my own problems and everybody knows that. If you make fun of what you have, people are much more, because once it's out in the open, it's almost like because you acknowledge it, it becomes easier to move forward with people. Hey guys, I know that I've had my issues of showing up on time, because what you're doing is you're admitting it, and I would like to apologize for all the past times, but I don't have to, it would take the rest of my life to apologize to everybody that I screwed up with, not showing up, not getting, together, not following through on time. Excuse me, hiccups. But I have a friend that is like the antithesis, the dead opposite of what I do. They're on time, they show up, they follow through, they can make this happen. And I really wanted to connect you with them, but I just want to make sure that my stupidity and what I've done in the past doesn't flaw you talking to them. That would be a way to overcome all of that stuff. And that's what I had to do with a lot of people that I knew, is I had to basically say, hey, look, I know I've been stupid in all these areas, but I want to move forward. I want to help. I think I found something, and the problem is because of how I've started out every business, I think I've screwed up already, but this guy that I found that wants to do this and work with me has their crap together. I want you to take a look at this. Third party can overcome a lot of the flaws. So become a master at getting people in front of other people. The events themselves, people are going to, especially if you have these character flaws, people are going to shield themselves from you. So if you feel kind of like, hey, they don't want to talk to me, hey, they don't want to hang out, hey, they don't want to, if you get that overwhelming feeling that you're not totally accepted, a lot of times, I would say 99% of the times, it's probably a self-esteem thing. It's probably you thinking that there's issues and there's not. But the other time, it's because you've burnt a bunch of bridges with people, and they're trying to distance themselves from basically like socially rubbing off on another person, if that makes sense. That's kind of a scary thing. Steve, what's happening? So that's something to, be forewarned about. The last is the close. You know, it's harder to close, especially recruit. It's not hard to close on a sale. Hey, dude, you need this. You know you need it. It has nothing to do with my character, my background, the fact that I, showed up late, said one thing, done another. It has nothing to do with that. If you need the product, you need the product. And that's true in all network marketing, especially inside the company that we work with, because if somebody has something legal going on or credit issues or whatever, and you happen to know that and be the expert in the issue, like, regardless, if you need to talk to somebody else just to verify that this will work for you, great, I can do that. But if you need it, here's what it is. Now, the nice thing about Legal Shield, as opposed to 99% of the other companies that are out there, and the other products that are out there, is if you look at cost of $35 for an individual or $50 for a couple, if they need it, if it's going to solve an issue, especially dealing with fear or dealing with credit so they can buy a house, or dealing with, some other, thing that's going to help out their family or their kid, a lot of times they're willing to overlook a lot of character flaw to buy the product to get what they need. You're just the person who introduced it to them. So that's honestly why in the very, very beginning, when I first started doing this the first time, when I was still 50% questionable, the character of was I going to follow through, was I going to do something, I was running in 100 different directions. That's why I had the credibility that I had, is I was able to, because this product line, the pricing, it just makes it so much easier to make a decision, because the price versus the value, or the price versus the perceived value of what they're going to get out of it, the distance is so far, they're like, I'm going to try it even though I have some issues probably with you. But that's why you have an issue recruiting them, is because of your follow through. So that's why it's really good to get them in front of somebody else for the follow through, somebody else for the team side, somebody else for the networking side, somebody else for joining, somebody who does have that character, who does have that, conviction and, the confidence, and they've got basically the consistency behind them, where everybody's like, oh yeah, if that person says they're going to do it, they're going to do it. Well, I can trust that person. I'll get in with the person that showed me. And I always back up. I said, I don't care, regardless of what they've done in the past. If they're in this and you have access to me, I will help. I will help. You reach out, I will help. If you're on my team, if you're not on my team, if you're in another company, I will help. So with that, guys, again, we're going over the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader this month on this show, Going Executive Director. Tomorrow is law, or I'm sorry, I'm going to always say that, law, because we do the 21 laws next. Tomorrow is the second characteristic, which is charisma, and we're going to talk all about that. So, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, guys, that's the show. Appreciate it. 1st of May, set your goals. Make sure the month is planned before the month begins. Make sure the day is planned before the day begins. And let's rock this out. I appreciate everybody for joining us, and we'll see you on the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show next. Thanks.